So really excited to serve up a 2023 update on what's going on with the Innovation Trail. I'm Scott Kirsner. I'm one of the co-founders and charter catalysts of the Innovation Trail and would love to introduce you to Namrata and Daniel. Namrata, do you want to do a quick intro?
Hi, everyone. My name is Namrata Sengupta. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Associate Director of Scientific Public Engagement and the Broad Discovery Center at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard.
Daniel.
And forgive me, and I'm Berger-Jones. I'm the president of Cambridge Historical Tours, and we've got a tour of the Innovation Trail coming in just a couple weeks.
Awesome. We would love to take questions. If you're watching us live, just use the chat to ask questions at any point. Here's our goal with our time today. We want to give you an overview if you're not up to speed on what the trail is, how people can experience it, our social handles and some content that exists that you can share, and we'll take some Q&A. I put some pictures here of the three of us in various test walks of the trail or some of the promotion that we've been doing. I think the picture at the bottom of the screen is Namrata and I were at WBUR last year talking about the trail on Radio Boston. And again, questions at any point, we'll keep an eye on the chat. Our main goal, really why we started this effort in 2021 and then started doing some beta tours in 2022 was to create a new brand and a new experience for people visiting Boston. We really look at this installation at Logan Airport, the 4 centuries of Massachusetts innovation exhibit, as kind of the gateway to the Innovation Trail. And if you have been to Logan Airport, this will look familiar. If you've been to Gate C10, if you've had coffee at the Starbucks there, you probably have seen this wall that my co-founder Bob Krim helped create, which talks about all the incredible things that have come out of Massachusetts, the steam shovel, modern venture capital, mutual funds, the microwave oven, it goes on and on. VisiCalc, regarded as the first killer app of the PC era. But this wall, even though it's amazing, even though it has this big video display, this wall is something that people see on their way into Boston or on their way out of Boston. And the reason that we created the Innovation Trail is we wanted to give people a thing to do once they get into the city, to plug into the story of innovation in the greater Boston area. And so to give you kind of an overview of the scope of the Innovation Trail, we really took the Freedom Trail as a great model and said we want to create something that's walkable in a day, that is not going to cover the entire state of Massachusetts. And it's walkable in a few different segments. You can see it starts, stop number 1 there is right near the Boston Common information booth, right near Park Street and Government Center T-stop. You could walk just the 7 Boston stops and consider that an Innovation Trail experience. You could end at the Museum of Science, or another segment would be starting over in Kendall Square and walking towards the Museum of Science. We learned from the Freedom Trail executive director when we talked to her, and she said nobody walks the entire Freedom Trail in a day. I think, Daniel, you said you've tried to do it with tour groups, and usually they pass out well before you get to Charlestown and want to have a beer.
It's, it's generally a group of 3rd graders, and we have a saying in the industry, if you've made it to Bunker Hill, you're at the end of a bad day. Right.
So, this is something that can happen in lots of different segments. It can start at the Museum of Science, with a lunch at the museum and then walking over to the Boston side or walking over to the Cambridge side. But this should give you an overview of what we cover. I wanted to turn things over to Daniel to talk a little bit about both the scheduled tours that we're doing from May to late October this year, and then also the custom tours. And Daniel, you should kind of tell us about the tour options, and maybe you can also share a couple of your favorite stops or favorite stories.
Absolutely. So there's always private tours. We can do that starting right now. We've been doing that for a while, actually. And groups can book a guide to walk them through any piece of this. We tend to do either the Boston or the Cambridge side, or all of it all together if anybody wants. We've done it in did an attempt at a 90-minute full trail tour that failed miserably. I would say you need at least 2 hours, 3 is best. But for the public tour options, we're going to have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's going to be an option at noon and at 2:30, and that's going to be on Saturdays and Sundays. I think Friday is just the noon option. We're looking into possibly doing like an after work on Thursdays. 5 o'clock input on that would be delightful. We don't know exactly when the sweet spot's going to be, so this year is going to be a fun experiment. But I think that the way that Kendall has been lately, it's bananas over there. I mean, with the opening of the MIT Museum, and you've got the public art back there. If you guys haven't been back to the plaza behind the MIT Museum and seen where an artist took an AI system and fed into it 100 signatures of scientists in the area, and then said, make a signature that's all of them together. And then the AI made a signature, and then she took neon or something, and this signature signs itself over and over again under the new, what is it? I guess it's a Bayer building. Also Lab Central has space in there, but Bayer Hub Life, I know, is in that building. Life Hub, I don't know. Anyway, the area is exploding, and I'm really excited about it. People's jaws keep dropping when we walk into the Broad Institute and we see the lovely Discovery Center that I won't get too far into because I know that's your turf. I'll stay off of it, Namrata. But the the Koch Institute has beautiful, like MIT is back open again. So with private groups, we can also sort of sneak into the places where we're welcome, look around, play with their toys. It's my favorite thing to do. I think a tour is so much better when you can actually touch stuff or there's something presented by the organization itself. But, you know, we're talking about everything from what's happening in the Broad, CRISPR base editing. We like to talk about even stuff that's happening at Harvard. There's a way to justify David Sinclair and what George Church are doing over there, trying to bring back the woolly mammoth and end aging as a concept. And we kind of like to get into that stuff. Love to talk about the haptics laboratory at MIT. Anything that's remotely connected to innovation or these stops on the innovation trail, we're going to try and hammer home the coolest stuff that's happening all across the planet right now in that industry. And I think so far it seems to be catching on pretty well, and I hope that our enthusiasm will become further contagious.
Daniel, I'll play a little bit of video from one of our beta tours last year, but just give us, I mean, we're looking at Government Center and this telephone museum, which is not always open to the public, but some of the special tours that we do, the one Daniel and I are doing on May 13th, we get people in there. Do you have a favorite story from the Boston side, since we've been talking a lot about Kendall?
I mean, Boston side, the low-hanging fruit is Lewis Latimer. He's just an interesting fellow. I mean, he's from Chelsea. His parents escaped slavery. He serves in the Civil War. You know, he's the classic Good Will Hunting story of the guy looking over the shoulder of the draftsman at the table. And a few years later, he is the head draftsman, and he's going to be the guy who draws the patent for Alexander Graham Bell and the telephone. But he's also an inventor of his own right and invented one of the earliest air conditioning systems. He figured out that if you make the filament for a light bulb within a carbon envelope, that it lasts something like 3 times longer than Edison even figured it out, which is why Edison eventually hired him. And my favorite invention of his is those flaps. Apparently, if you tried to use the bathroom in a train before him, you just look at track whizzing past you. He invents this little flap that just doesn't, you see it on an airplane now, right? I mean, it's just interesting, all the little things that are all around Boston. And then the stories of the inventors themselves can be at times moving. Guy ends up one of 50 people known as an Edison pioneer. You know, a black man in the Jim Crow era. It's a cool story as a person, but then he has all these inventions that we can talk about as well.
Yeah, love Lewis Latimer, and yeah, I think the only black man, right, who is in part of that group of the 50 Edison pioneers. Just to touch on, you know, who is the innovation trail for? We think, you know, Daniel, you should share your experience, right? We've had corporate groups doing offsites or Boston visits. We've had conference and trade show groups, some STEM summer camps. A lot of interest from foreign delegations from Dubai or from Italy or from Argentina that are coming to sort of see the Boston ecosystem. What am I missing here?
Random tourists. I mean, I think everybody is starting to pay a little bit of attention. It used to be that this ecosystem was for nerds and nerds alone. And now I think people are starting to realize, no, it's affecting all of us. I think the smartphone may have been one of the most effective pieces of technology at reminding people that, hey, the computer geeks are doing something that is deeply affecting your life and has just shifted our culture massively. Social media, this kind of stuff, but and then the life elongation, the medicine, the breakthroughs in rare diseases and cancer, and this again, I'm treading on your territory. I'm going to shut up now. I'm done.
And you'll see this is a great photo spot that our friends at Innovators for Purpose created right in the middle of Kendall Square. That says most innovative square mile on the planet. I'm sort of embarrassed that I'm wearing the same sweater today that I'm wearing in that photo, but what can you do? Maybe to transition into the Broad Discovery Center, one of the points that we make is that I don't think there's any city in the world that has 4 STEM-focused museums and science centers within walking distance of each other. So going clockwise from upper left, there's the Museum of Science, there's the new Broad Discovery Center, there's the MGH, Museum of Medical History and Innovation, and then there's the brand new MIT Museum in Kendall Square. Namrata, do you want to talk a little bit about what people will see at the Broad Discovery Center?
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. So hi, everyone. The Broad Discovery Center was recently launched in October of 2022. So we are a fairly new museum. Just to kind of highlight that we are a free public science education space that is showcasing the exciting world of biomedical research. And it's not just we are showcasing stories of science that are happening at the Broad, but also in the Kendall Square ecosystem and at our partner institutions, such as Harvard, MIT, the 5 Harvard-affiliated hospitals in the Longwood area, and MGH. So the exhibits are categorized in different galleries, and the main focus of not just research happening at the Broad Institute, but the stories we are sharing at the Broad Discovery Center are centered around human disease and how human disease affects all of us. So what are researchers doing, trying to solve some of the biggest problems in biomedicine? So we showcase exhibits on cancer, mental health, infectious disease. We have exhibits on rare genetic diseases, diabetes, and heart disease. We have a total of 11 interactive digital experiences in the Broad Discovery Center. And some of these exhibits are also street facing. So our museum curation team was very careful in choosing what kind of stories we say on the street side, because visitors are walking past the space 24/7, and they're all getting to engage with this space anytime they're passing by. So I think like a quick recap for the group that's important to kind of mention are ours. We are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you're passing by Broad Discovery Center, we are a free public space. Please come in, engage with the exhibits. However, we curated tours for the community. These are free tours for groups. The access to that link is broad.io group tour. You'll just find it on our website. And we cater these tours Monday through Wednesday during our staffed hours, that is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We every day during these 3 days, we also give a guided tour. So if you show up during our staffed hour days at 11 a.m., you'll possibly be able to just get a tour at that time. Or else if you're a bigger group, I'd encourage you to book a group tour through our website. And again, these tours are free and open to the public. And I think one quick pitch would be the community we are catering to are teenagers and adults. I would say 8th grade and above could engage the best with our space. And I know Innovation Trail aligns so well with us because we are one of the 4 museums. MIT Museum is right across the street from us. And out of the 4 museums, MIT Museum and the MIT Museum and the Museum of Science are paid tickets. But just a reminder, MGH Museum and Broad Discovery Center are free public spaces. You don't need to get a ticket to enter. But this is actually a Discovery Center video of when we were working with our scientists, working with our architects to design this space. And so come see the new space that has already been built. It's behind me. The photograph is behind me of what it looks like now. Thank you, Scott and Daniel, for the pitch. I will see you on the Innovation Trail.
Yeah, it's funny. Namrata and I saw each other in person yesterday, and somebody asked the question, is the innovation trail dog friendly? Because they saw in our overview video, we have a beautiful golden doodle that's walking across the bridge. And we said, yes, not only is it dog friendly, but you can tell your dog that the Broad Institute was the organization that first fully sequenced the canine genome, right? So there's even fun dog facts related to the innovation trail on the Broad. Keeping things moving here, just to share with you some of the other things you'll see. This is a little bit of video that I shot inside the MIT Museum recently. They have so much great stuff to see, all kinds of exhibits. This is kind of an MIT history gallery, but there's also a fantastic exhibit right now on AI and deep fakes that's really worth checking out. A lot of exhibits on robotics and the frontier of synthetic biology. They have a fantastic exhibit tied to Ginkgo Bioworks, the synthetic biology company, where they took DNA from a flower that's now extinct and recreated the fragrance of that flower. So you can smell a flower that doesn't grow here on planet Earth anymore. We want to talk a little bit about how people can experience the innovation trail in 2023. As I mentioned, Daniel and I are doing a special season kickoff tour on May 13th. And that one is already pretty close to full. But the cool thing about that is we're going to get you inside this Verizon-owned Museum of Communications, which has a fantastic collection of antique telephones. It has a recreation of Alexander Graham Bell's lab that was overseen by his assistant, Watson, for accuracy. So that's a fun space to get into that most people don't ordinarily get to see. And then, as Daniel mentioned, 5 tours a week on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from May 20th to October 29th. All of those tickets are now on sale. Custom tours. I was amazed, Daniel, but you were doing custom tours in December and January, when ordinarily I don't expect people to be on walking tours in Boston.
It was a robust winter, I would say. The weather was very helpful. When it doesn't snow, people will we still get Canadians in this town, you know?
Right. They come down for the beach vacation in January. They're at Castle Island. So the fourth thing, just to remind folks, there's a self-guided tour that can use the website, which has lots of great text and images and videos. There's a printed brochure that we've been distributing at the Broad Discovery Center, at the MGH Museum, at the Kendall Square Marriott. There's also a print-at-home PDF version of the brochure that's on our website that you can download and print on your very own home printer. On the upper right of the slide, you can see what the print-at-home map looks like. Over there on the left, is the Cambridge Innovation Center in Kendall, has the maps up at their front desk. So paper is still important to people. As a lover of newspapers and magazines, I love to see the map printed in person and see people carrying it around. Thanks to Daniel and his colleagues who have been running some of the tours, most of the tours over the last year, as we've been kind of shifting from test mode into fully operational mode. The walking tour has fantastic reviews on TripAdvisor, and I definitely would encourage you to check out the TripAdvisor page for reviews. The reviews really are glowing, and I think you can see by Daniel's bright orange hat there that verifies he was doing tours in January. We're not making that up. So check out the TripAdvisor page. We also have gotten some great write-ups in the official Boston Visitors Guide. Governor Healy mentioned the Innovation Trail as kind of a new way to experience Boston. We're in the Essentially America Guide to North America. And also there's been a lot of social mentions popping up. And so we love to see, I think the one in the upper right is someone from Hamburg, Germany, who did the self-guided tour and decided to create his own video of the experience and shared that on a few social platforms. These are social handles. The website URL is there where you can buy tickets or request custom tours. You can always email the team at info@theinnovationtrail.org. And relatively new, we have a YouTube channel with some overview videos. that you can check out. And there are a lot of public screens now in Kendall Square and some in Boston that are now showing this overview video. So if you have a public screen in your facility and want a copy of the video to show, we're happy to do that. Just drop an email to the address on the screen. And maybe one or two last things to wrap up. One of the things that's really exciting to us and started to bubble up yesterday is other sites on the trail that are kind of planning displays and mini museums really in their lobby. So this is something that Lab Central is working on. Daniel, I don't think you've seen this before, but this is going to be a wall in their public space at Lab Central, showcasing that this was the building where the first long distance telephone call happened, where Ed Land had his private R&D lab when he was running Polaroid. The Stilson wrench was invented there. I like my Stilson a little bit better, but I have the old school. They're showing like a modern Stilson wrench. I have one of the ones that still says made in Boston that I keep in my office. Also, Draper Labs, I think, is discussing expanding some of their lobby exhibits. And so part of what we're trying to do at the trail, the Broad Discovery Center obviously is the poster child for this, is getting more sites on the trail to do stuff that's visible to the public, that's interactive, that really showcases all of the amazing research and entrepreneurship and breakthroughs that happen here in Boston. I think our big point is we have kept this a secret for too long. It's been behind security gates. It's been behind frosted windows, very secretive. And we really want to start telling the story in a higher profile way. Lots of organizations have sponsored the Innovation Trail to help us do things like print brochures and create videos. Just as a final slide, a thank you to everybody who joined us today. If you're watching the video on replay, thanks for watching all the way to this point. Any other thoughts, Daniel, Namrata, in terms of what you hope to see over the course of the rest of 2023 with the trail?
I guess I'd like to add that, each of the organizations on the trail, or at least some of us who are in the public engagement museum space, one of the things that we're trying to do and we've identified recently is when educators are trying to bring groups of students, whether they're formal educators from classrooms or whether they're informal educators from various STEM groups, they want to kind of curate a pretty rich experience for the groups that they're bringing in, let's say, to Kendall Square. And sometimes organizations individually are not able to offer everything. So what we've been doing when educators contact us is we say, yes, here's a 30-minute or a 45-minute detailed guided tour of Broad Discovery Center, but here's the link to, the Koch Institute public galleries, or here's, if you want to go to the MGH Museum or in the neighborhood MIT Museum, and here are all the things that you can do for Innovation Trail. So as a result of that, educators are getting a slightly added additional experiences they can choose from. So if whoever is listening to this, and if you're in the Boston area, if you're on this trail, and if you're one of the organizations on the trail, I'd really encourage you to do that, because I think none of us on our own have the bandwidth to offer all the programming and tour needs for various groups. But if we kind of signal boost and share these resources with groups requesting such tours, then it really benefits all of us to share this collective story of history and innovation in the Boston area and in the Cambridge area.
Daniel, I guess I'd be curious if you have other thoughts on sort of how you hope to see this evolve in 2023. I mean, you've been doing innovation tours and MIT tours and Freedom Trail tours for a long time. I think when you and I have talked, you kind of have made the point that these tours really fill a void in terms of people who do want to better understand what Boston and Cambridge are all about.
I also feel like now is the moment. I think I was saying to you guys, with the Broad Discovery Center and the Koch display and gallery right there, and the new MIT Museum open, and let's not forget about the Garment District. That's still cool. That's still in Kendall Square, right? We have Mamala's, we have the smoke shop, we have restaurants. There's a Row 34 that just opened up. There's the Google roof deck. There is a pickleball court, if that doesn't persuade you, up there. Now is the time for Kendall. And I would love for people to begin to understand that when they come to Boston and they feel like part of their identity as Americans was founded here in Boston because of the Freedom Trail. I want them to also understand that American innovation is the other thing that has made us great since that moment. And we are really good at it. That's one of the things that's part of our culture that takes us to the top. It's why people from foreign countries come and they try to get educated in our institutions. We have cool stuff, but it is part of our identity. And this is the time, and I think this is the moment.
Thanks everybody for being here live. Thanks for watching the replay. Tim, you can't yet play Space War on the tour, but it's on our minds. And so if you know someone who can get a hold of like a deck PDP-1 or PDP-7, PDP-11, whichever PDP that was that Space War was built for, we want to make it happen. So thanks everybody for tuning in live.
Sneak peek would be Broad Discovery Center is developing an interactive game that will launch this fall. So if you are biology nerds and want to come play a game, it won't be a space game, it'll be a biology game.
Yeah, let's move on from Space War. Come on, that was the 1960s. It's all about biology now. Thanks guys for being part of this, and thanks everyone for being here.